I request participants to raise your hand whoever want to read. We will have just a quick recap of what we have read last Sunday. We actually ended up last to last session where Arjuna fell silent saying that I will not fight. And then Krishna started speaking from 2.11, where Krishna is clearly saying that you are actually lamenting for the things which are not meant for lamentation. And then Krishna started giving all the logics, what how the soul is different from the body. And this is what we are going to read till the shloka 30, verse number 30. And we have read in these shlokas, these all these most of these shlokas are very important. So we have also requested you to, if you can try to remember these shloka, or you can learn this shloka, try to pronounce this shloka. So at every moment of our life, because this Bhagavad Gita is very much practical subject, so we should try to learn these shlokas so we can remember these shloka at the time of when we are not feeling the problems are over, just bombarding on us, and we are not able to handle them, or there might be many situations. So you can just relate to the topics of Bhagavad Gita. This is why it is said that this Bhagavad Gita is manual of our life. So we have read this very important shloka last Sunday. Dehino ismin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara तथा देहांतर प्राप्तिर धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदा आगम अपायनो नित्यास् तम तितिक्षस्व भारत यम हि न व्यथन्तेते पुरुषं पुरुष ऋषभ सम सुखम सम दुःख सुखम धीरम सोमृतत्वाय कल्पते. So how an intelligent man react to the problems and how he handle the situations. So now we are going to read from verse number 16, 2.616. So I'm just going to share the screen. I have received a message. Hare Krishna, आवाज नहीं आ रही है. Devyanshu Taneja ji, I would request you to please, if you can exit and then you can join again, because there might be some problem with your system, because I can see all of the others can hear me very well. So you can exit and then you can join back. Then you'll be able to hear us. Yes, so we'll start from 2.16. We have Neelam Soni ji. Please start reading from 2.16. If first of all, I would like to ask if most of the people is not having their copy of this hard copy of Bhagavad Gita, so would request everyone, please, if you can order this at local ISKCON temple, you can go, as this is normal these days. So meanwhile, I'm just sharing this Bhagavad Gita screen so you can go through and start reading. So Neelam Soniji, if you are having this hard copy of Bhagavad Gita, so you can open it. Otherwise, I'm just opening it over here on the screen. Just a minute. It is just taking time to open the. Yes, now, because I just want to open it. So if anybody is not having this hard copy of Bhagavad Gita, they can also read it from here. Yeah, it's text number 16. Okay, so Keshav Prabhu actually helped me out. So you can start reading from this shloka. Neelam Soniji, you can unmute and start reading. Hare Krishna. Neelam Soniji, you can start.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Very
नास्तो वेदते भावो न भावो वेदते सतः उपयोरपि दृष्टोऽनन्तवनं योस्तयित्वा दर्शिभिः. Purport. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded the that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal in bracket the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Sorry, Purport. There is no endurance of changing body. That the body is changing every moment by the actions and reactions of the different cells is admitted by modern medical science, and thus growth and old age are taking place in the body, but the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By nature, the body is ever changing and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalist and create. It is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. The words existence and non-existence refer only to spirit and matter. That is the version of all series of truth. All this is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are believed by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and partial living entities and the supreme personality of Godhead. One can understand the nature of supreme by true study of oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutras, as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature as well as be revealed in the seventh chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic is accepted as the supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as the subordinate. The living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of the master and the servant, or the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance, and to drive any away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, you can take.
Yes. So this slok starts from Na sate vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata. Those who are seers of the truth, have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the eternal soul there is no change. So here, the very important thing, like which we have been, I think, reading from previous shlokas also, like Lord is again repeating that, like, for the material body, there is no existence. Like material body is born and it will die, sure. And the spirit soul, there is no change. Spirit soul, as we earlier read also, like when the body dies, according to the jiva's karma, living entities karmas, the soul takes another body and continues. The journey of the soul goes on. It doesn't stop. So this is what is explained by Krishna. And now Srila Prabhupada explains this. Like why we have to or Arjun surrender to Krishna. Because Krishna, whatever he speaks, it is all truth. Like there is no change in that. We know that like all living beings, all the living beings, they suffer from four defects. So those four defects, I think we have read it earlier. Maybe you all know about it. What are four defects found in living beings? The one, that the cheating tendency. Two, get easily illusion. Three, imperfect senses. And four, making mistakes. So we, all the living entities, they have all these four defects. And unless person is out from these four defects, like his version, whatever he speaks, cannot be understood that it's a fact. But Krishna, since he's out of these four defects, so whatever Krishna speaks, and that is the reason that Arjun surrenders to Krishna. And whatever now Krishna has taken his position as a spiritual master. They were friends, but now there is no friendly talks. Arjuna has surrendered to Krishna, saying that now you be my spiritual master, and I'll hear you, and you can only dispel my illusion. So Arjun's illusion was that like he was in bodily concept of life. That's what Krishna says, and then Krishna chastises him also. Like he's in bodily concept of life, but he's talking like a very learned person. So that's how when Krishna starts speaking, now he says the first instruction which goes that there's a material body, the difference between material body and the soul. The material body dies and the soul continues. The basic this is one of the basic instructions. And then Krishna is all time, he's a supreme personality Godhead. All the revealed scriptures accept this, and the living entities, all the living entities, they are the nature. So the relation between God and living entities is of a master and a servant. So God always remains Achyuta. He doesn't fall from his position. And we are, because it's like energetic and energy. So Lord is energetic and the living entities are energy. So their energy also, we'll know like in further when we go in 7th chapter, we'll know that. The energies are two kinds, the inferior nature and superior nature. So living entities comes into superior nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So, Manvik, you can unmute and start reading from 2.17.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Avi, Avinashi tu tudvi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyasya na kashchitta kartum arhati. Translation: that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and the pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one's body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper position of the hair pointing side. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad 5.9 confirms this. Balagrisata bhagasya satadha kalpitasya cha bhago jivasa vijneyaha sa chetchenantyaya kalpate. When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Similarly, the same version is stated, he sagra satabhagasya satam saha sadri satmaka jiva suksma swarupo yam sansa pito hi chit pranaha. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some machine spreads throughout the body. This current of the soul um, is all over the body as consciousness, and that is the true body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination but to the spirit soul. In the Mandaka Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic soul, spirit soul is further explained. Esonir Atma Chetasa Veditavyo Yasmin Pranaha Panchada Samdivesa Pranesa Chittam Sarvam Etam Prajanam Yasmin Visuddhe Vibhavatya Esa Atma. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the five kinds of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the five kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the five kinds of air encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting posture, not for any material profit but for liberation of the minute soul from entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mandaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of the blood can be confusion, ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of red corpus cells, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So, whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Manvik. So it was a long purport, and it really motivates us that Manvik is actually pronouncing very well this Sanskrit shlokas, and we must be amazed that what is the size of soul. It is clearly mentioned over here. So Mukund Murari Prabhu, it's over to you. You need to unmute yourself.
So that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Now, very clear, like Krishna is explaining here, that which is imperishable and which pervades the body. So which means what? Which means the consciousness in the body is due to the soul. So this is clearly explained here. Like, and then another thing, what Sri Krishna is explaining, that like each individual soul is different. My pain, my pleasures, only I know. I do not know anybody else's pain and pleasure. So which means I am different, that I'm a different living entity, he's a different living entity, which means I'm a different soul and he's a different soul. So that's one thing, very clearly Krishna is explaining. Then like each, which means all the souls, they are individual, they maintain their individuality throughout. That's one. And then another thing is what Lord is explaining, that this consciousness in the body is due to the soul. So soul is present in the body, there is a consciousness. The moment the soul leaves, there's no consciousness left. We have all experience of this thing. Medical science may not agree on this point because they can't measure it. Why can't they measure it? It is so minute in size. Here, in different revealed scriptures, it is explained the size of the soul, which is 1/10,000th part or the tip of the hair, which is impossible for today's scientists to measure. So that's why they deny the existence of the soul. But they agree that the source of energy in the body is in the heart. So why it is in the heart? They do not know, they can't explain it. So it is in the heart because energy emanates from the heart because there is a presence of the soul there. So soul lives in the heart along with the super soul. So that's been clearly explained here. So the consciousness again and again is due to the soul. And then when soul leaves the body, there's no consciousness left. That's one. And another thing is that like only perfectly intelligent person, like whom God, who are blessed by the God to understand this spiritual matter, they can only understand this, like because this can be experienced. This can't be experimented. It can only be experienced. So this is what Lord is saying over and again, and then it is clearly understood here. Such atomic particles of the spirit soul, spirit whole, are compared to the sunshine molecules. Like they are innumerable. They are billions. They are millions. We can't have any number. There are so many, and they are compared with the sunshine. Like sunshine, there is sun and there is sunshine. There are particles in the sunshine. All the individual soul are compared to the sunshine. Like the particles in the sunshine. That's how it is. Any point more, Prabhuji, if I missed it?
No, thank you very much, Roji. Very well explained.
Thank you so much.
So everyone should know that what is the size of soul. Try to remember, try to learn this shloka. Balagra sat bhagasya. So it is 1/10,000 of the tip of a hair. So
And,
next, I would ask
and
Ritambar.
it is not in one scripture. Like Srila Prabhupada has given three different examples from three different scriptures, like which says the size of the soul, 1/10,000 part. Each like they do not differ from the one.
Yes, yes, Roji. Thank you. So Ritambara Mataji, you can unmute and start reading.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
I want to take a fraction of a minute to thank Manvik Prabhu for and his mother at the same lines as you said, because his words are actually motivating a lot of us. So please continue on this path. May Lord Krishna bless you and give you mercy. Hare Krishna. Anvanta ime deha नित्योक्तः शरीरिणः अनाशिन्यो प्रेमस्य तस्माद्युत्युत्सव भारत. Only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. The material body is imperishable by, sorry, the material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or it may do so after 100 years. It is question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. But the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So, from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity can neither be killed as he is, nor can the material body, which cannot be saved for any length of time, be permanently protected. The minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains the material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of the material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and sacrifice the material body for the cause of religion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Ritambara Mataji. So
Yes.
everyone can see that Krishna is saying, you just go and fight, just go and fight. So people are arguing many times. This Bhagavad Gita, you just need not to keep this at your home, because if you keep this Bhagavad Gita at your home, there will be fight amongst all of you. So this is the point here mentioned, because Krishna is saying you need to fight, and he's giving the logics, not because just he just wanted to do all these things. So Mukund Murari Prabhu will take us forward to this. Yes, over to you, Prabhu.
So this material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. So this material body belongs to a particular soul, and with the passage of time, it has to come to an end. It must die. It has to come to an end, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am. So with the time is just causing destruction to everything, including this body. So it's just a matter of time, Srila Prabhupada says here. It's just a matter of time when this body will die. It may die at any time, but there's some kind of a specific time is like which we read here and there, and we have experienced, let's say up to 100 years, and that's all. The body one day has to die. So now the Krishna is explaining, telling Arjun, like, why you are lamenting for this in the destructible body. This body has to die. There's no enemy. Like if you say that there's enemy, there's no enemy to the soul actually. And then body, whether you kill, somebody kills it, or it died according to its own natural death. So might as well. Then what should be done? Your job should be, like duty should be, to follow the scriptures, and according to the scriptures, Vedic scripture, which says that do your duty. And duty at the time is to what? To since he's come to the battlefield and he's supposed to fight against adharma, so he has to be there to fight. So and there's another point here. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. That's for sure. Then Krishna explained this fact again, like which he said earlier. Like this, there's a soul body is being maintained because the spirit soul. So, and this is compared with the light. And why? Because this light is part of the supreme light. Supreme light is Krishna. The supreme light is maintaining the whole material affairs. And this body, which like this soul, which is compared to the light, this is maintaining the individual body. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Deepa Jaktani Mataji, you can read verse 2.19. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Hare Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dhanvat Pranam.
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Text 19. Ya ena veti hantaram yaschennam manyate hatam ubhoto na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Translation. Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not nor is slain. Purport. When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as will be evident from subsequent verses. Nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is Ma himsyat sarva bhutani. Never commit violence to anyone. Nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So we should move forward, Prabhuji. There is nothing more in this shloka, I guess, to discuss.
Yes, one important point here. That like what Krishna is telling Arjun, like A living entity neither is slain nor it is slayer. Not, like a living entity, like it is just the killing of the body. And then what important point Krishna says here, in the Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. By reading this, somebody may think that, well, he is killing somebody, so he is not responsible now because he is not killing the soul. Soul cannot be killed, so he should not be responsible. Or he is killing the animal, so he should not feel responsible. But no, because then this gives the Prabhupada cites example from the scriptures. The Vedic injunction says, "Ma hinsyat sarva bhutani." Never commit violence to anyone. This is this like along with that, like, if somebody may understand that Krishna himself saying that his soul cannot be killed, nor he can kill. So somebody may not understand this. Well, he is free to kill now, whether it comes to animal slaughter or it comes to any other killing. So Krishna is saying that it should not be understood like Srila Prabhupada is explaining that, like, well, he is under the state laws, and the state laws prohibit such kind of a killing.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this next verse, verse number 208, is very important, and please try to remember. And the purport is so long, so we'll take two people to read this. One will read till this first paragraph, and then first paragraph. No, it's first paragraph and this shloka, and from the third paragraph, the another will read. So, Khushbu, yes, Mahesh, Punjabi Prabhu. Mahesh Punjabi Prabhu, you can lower your hand and you can start reading.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So, verse number 2.20. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूय अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Translation. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Purport. Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not. Can you scroll down, bro? Can you scroll down? Yeah. And the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has death. Anything which has birth also has death, and because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. That is, there is no trace in the history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc., of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old, as the body does. The so-called old man, therefore, feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. The soul has no byproduct either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls, and owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the six changes of the body.
Very nice. I think somebody else may read it, Prabhuji.
No, you can also read this sloka, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Sloka and the meaning. Maheshwan Jai Prabhu.
Okay, sure, Prabhu. In the Katha Upanishad 1.2.18, we also find a similar passage which reads, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschin nayam kutaschin na bahuvakaschit ajo nitya shashato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in Bhagavad Gita. But here in this verse, there is one special word, vipaschit, which means learned or with knowledge.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Khushbu Sharma ji, you can unmute and start reading.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The soul is full of knowledge or full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness.
It's consciousness, Mataji. It's consciousness.
Consci- uh, Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Please,
Consciousness.
consci- consciousness.
Conscious.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Consciousness.
Yes.
Consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds or for some other reason. But the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is there for daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some cons- consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. When he forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lesson of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are two kinds of souls, namely the minute particles soul, Anu Atma, and the Prabhuji, it is not visible. And the super soul, Vibhu Atma. This is also confirmed in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.20 in this way.
Should I pronounce this?
Prabhuji,
It's Anor Aniyana Aniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atmasya Janator Nihito Guhyam Tam Akratu Pashyati Vita Shoko Dhatu Prasadan Mahimanam Atmanah. Yes, you can read further.
okay. Prabhuji, before reading, I would like to request you, please pronounce once it consci- consciousness,
Consciousness. Conscious.
conscious,
No,
consci,
conscious. Nahi, conscious. Conscious.
So it's
con- conscious,
No. Don't look at the book. Just here. Conscious.
conscious. Am I
No,
right?
it is okay. It is okay. You just like because
Okay.
there is some words yeah, consciousness only.
Both the
Both the super soul, Param Atma, and the atomic soul, that is Jivatma, are situated on same tree of the body, within the same heart of the living being. And only one who has become free from all material desires as well as lamentations can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountain head of the super soul also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, that is the spiritual master.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Mukund Murari Prabhu, can you quickly brief on this?
yes. So very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Najayate mrite vakadachin. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So very nicely explained, very clear. The soul has neither birth nor death. Only the body has got birth and death. This is over and again Krishna is explaining. When the body dies and body takes birth, and body undergoes, under the effect of time, 6 different kind of changes, what Krishna has explained here. What are those changes which happens to the body under the effect of time? It takes birth from the womb of the mother, remains for some time, 3, grows, 4, produces some effects, then gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into the oblivion, which means basically dies. So these are the 6 kind of changes. Body undergoes, not the soul. This Krishna is emphasizing this point repeatedly, that like only the body dies, soul does not. The byproduct of the body, namely, like again, it is simple. Like there are some byproducts of the body, which happens accordingly in the passage of time. So now there's another thing, what Krishna is specifically saying, that there are 2 souls living in the heart of the living being, which are atomic souls, minute souls, and super soul. So minute soul, which is living being, is forgetfulness. Otherwise, they have the same quality. They both are Satchit Anand. But under the effect of illusion, because this minute soul can be illusion, because it is under the effect of in the Maya, this energy, material energy. So under the effect of material energy, the minute soul can get forgetful. So when it gets forgetful of Krishna, then the whole material affair starts. And when it is revealed, his material desires are dispelled by a spiritual master like Krishna or Krishna's representative who knows the science of bhakti. He can dispel the illusion of the living being, removes his forgetfulness, and then he can again be enlightened, and the soul can understand what is his actual position, which is that he is servant of Krishna, or living. He is a living entity, the minute soul, and is servant of Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So next, Sham Chaturvedi ji, you can unmute and start reading 2.21.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Veda Vinishanam Nityam Cha Enmajvam Katham Sa Purusha Parthak Kam Dhatyati Hantikam. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for us, for proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice. In Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sins he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is a supreme justice, and thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all, because rather the soul cannot be killed. So, for the administration of justice, the so called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is full knowledge, so there is no possibility of sinful reaction. Hare Krishna.
Hmm.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shyam Chaturvedi ji. Yes, Rosie, over to you.
So, translation of this verse is, O Partha, how can a person who knows the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Yeah, like this is the same instruction what Krishna has spoken before. Like, this is not possible. So, but Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely here that the violence has got some meaning. And violence, because many people, those who read Bhagavad Gita, and if they have not understood Bhagavad Gita from a person who knows Bhagavad Gita through disciplic succession, cannot really understand it. So why? Because many people, after reading Bhagavad Gita, they say that Krishna is immoral, inciting Arjun to fight. Why Arjun is so right that he did not want to fight against his brothers, sisters, and brothers and brother-in-laws and spiritual masters and other relatives. So they say like Krishna is inciting violence, but actually not true. This Prabhupada has said many places and over and again. So he said, Prabhupada explains here that like it has to be under knowledge. So the Prabhupada gives example that justice in the court, like if we issues capital punishment to somebody, which is basically which can't be called as violence. No, it is not violence because he has done some wrong, and that's why again to maintain the peace in the society, like such kind of laws are important, and laws have to be maintained and laws have to be understood. And this is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining. Arjun also should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is actually not violence. So Krishna is teaching Arjun like to be violent and to kill them because it is required. It is required because they have not followed the law, their duty. So just to maintain the dharma, Krishna is asking Arjun to fight. Thank you. There's another very good example Srila Prabhupada gives here, like a doctor who is performing a surgical operation on a person. Like it is not really violent. It is not a violence. It is not to kill the patient, but actually it is to save. So just to save the society.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So we'll conclude here. So it's already 8:58. If anybody has any question regarding the session or the Bhagavad Gita we have read so far, so they can raise their hands and or they can write in the chat box. So we can take it very quickly in 4-5 minutes. Yes, Ritambara Mataji, you have any questions, so you can unmute and you can ask your question.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी मुकुंद प्रभु हमने जितना भी पढ़ा है whatever we have read in and the way the lifestyle is happening these days, there's so much of YouTube videos and all coming about whole Jagran, Kundalini Jagran and all those kind of things. So when we are trying to read here, so we say that Anuatma and the Jivatma, they're all two different, but they are in the body. So
Yes.
is it in the reality, is it any way that it can ujagar kiya ja sakta hai, ya by just
Mataji,
reading Bhagavad Gita is the best
yeah,
way?
very, very good question. Ujagar, see now, the soul can be understood. Like see now, the body, as it says, like we read in one of the purport, like the body undergoes through 6 kind of a change under the effect of time. Like we know that. Like now the body is changing, right? But like if we have seen somebody in a childhood, then we see him after 20 years, then probably we don't recognize the person, but we say it's the same person, isn't it? We say it's the same person. But who is the same person? The body is not the same. The same person then. There's one example of understanding that there is a soul which is same. Like and same way, because it is body is changing and it is taking the body from the birth to death, right? But the soul within the body remains the same. It remains the same. And what happens? Because body undergoes through 6 kind of changes, and then it has to die. One material thing, whichever has born, must die. This is the rule. This is again one of the shloka in Bhagavad Gita. That, they would say that how is that? Dhruva Mrityu. Anyway, so one who was born.
Jatasya dhruva mrata janma mrityu.
Jatasya dhruva mrityu. Like one who is born has to die. So this we can understand. And then what is the difference? Another way of looking at it, Mataji, that like what is the difference between living and dead? Like the same person. Who will say that he was talking to us and now he's lying, and then we say that he is gone. वो चले गए, वो गुजर गए. In every language, we passed away. So who has passed away then? Because body is same. The same body is lying here. But which means the soul which was present in the body, the consciousness in the body was due to the soul. And now you ask for Vibhu Atma, Aruna. So then Krishna says, he is present, like in a few more shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will say that he is super soul present in the heart along with the living entity, along with the minute soul. So he is witnessing and he is instructing. He is a witness. What action the living entity is performing during his lifetime, he is a witness to that. So this is what the super soul is. And then now you say, like, how do we understand? We have to believe our Shastra. And then this is Bhagavan speaking. Bhagavan is Krishna. He is speaking. So how can we, because he is full in 6 kind of opulences. He is full. So he has no defects of a living entity. Krishna says, Matta Parataram Nanya. There is no truth beyond me, which means what all he says has to be understood as truth only. So if he is present and he is giving this knowledge that there is soul here, because by no scientific method we can understand what soul is and what super soul is. So we have to understand just from our scriptures, which are spoken by learned sages and actually the Krishna himself. Is that clear to doubt, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you, Mukund Murari Prabhu. There's just a question. जैसे वो बीच में बोलते हैं कि can the soul be called, like consciousness हम उसकी बढ़ा रहे हैं. That is what it means. Because the soul is there. This point is understood. Lord Krishna is starring all the mercy and he is giving all the things. But just soul और हमारी जो body है उसमें हम differentiate करके जैसे meditation करते हैं लोग या कुछ उसमें करते हैं. Is it really required? Does it make
purification of the soul, Mataji? Purification of the senses, basically. Like all different spiritual paths are meant for purify the senses. Like the soul is an illusion under forgetfulness just because the senses are impure. Like we have so many material desires. So it is covered. The knowledge of the soul. Otherwise, soul is all knowledgeable. It's Sat-Chit Anand. It is part of the Sat-Chit Anand. The soul is always has knowledge. But it is forgotten. It is forgotten. That's why it will revive. Now, like they may say other things, may say any other path may suggest whatever, but actually in Kali Yuga, all those paths are not possible. The possible path in Kali Yuga is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Nastev, 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 Gatira. So this Shravanam, it starts from Shravanam. When we hear it, then it clears our senses. When our senses get purified, then we begin to understand.
Right.
And understanding comes from that.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
well, Khushbu Sharma ji, this is the last question, so you can unmute and you can ask. Khushbu Sharma ji. More questions we have, but we'll take this last one, then we can have all the other question in next class. If you hear us, then you unmute and ask a question. Hare Krishna. So Khushbu Sharma ji is not able to unmute. We'll ask this next time. Shyam Chaturvedi ji has written this one. We'll take this one.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Heart transplant. Does the soul forget its past and continues with the history of the new body?
Prabhuji, I've not heard the question. Can you repeat it, please? It is you are not very much audible.
Yes. Am I audible now?
Yeah, no, not really. No, it's not audible again. Let Shyam Chaturvedi speak. Like maybe his microphone is better.
Yes, Shyam Chaturvedi.
But you have heard the question. You have read the question.
Yeah, Prabhuji, is it audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it is better now. Yes, Prabhu.
Now, I
Yes.
was just interested to know,
Yes,
during the heart operations,
Yeah.
the soul passes, the heart along with the soul passes from one body to the other. Is that
Right.
a fact?
The soul remains the same.
The soul remains the same. That means the memories of the past does that have to be different now?
The soul is like the heart is a material thing.
Yeah.
You know, like the soul, because in any case the heart is changing. Like when we are young, there was smaller heart. Then
Correct.
it grows, become bigger heart. Right?
Correct.
And at any point of time, if the heart is changed, well, it doesn't mean that like soul is also changed. Soul is the same.
Okay, soul remains the same. Thank you,
Soul is-
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all very much for joining this. Take out your precious time. We'll definitely connect next week, same time. And this is that presence is what is
You're not audible at all, Prabhuji.
you can conclude the session.
Yes, okay, Prabhuji.
Can conclude. Thanking everyone. So we are not having a quiz today. We are not having a list winners because it was not the in the names. Thank you all very much. We'll definitely announce the winners of the quiz next week. Thank you all very much for joining in. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Gita ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Prabhu.